Hello, everyone. I'm Colleen Vanderzyden, and this is Creating an Inspired Life. Thank you so much for watching tonight and listening. We appreciate you being here. And I'm a registered medium at Lilydale Assembly, the largest spiritualist community in the world. And we are now in our summer season. It's a very busy time over there. If you ever get a chance to visit, I highly recommend it. If you don't know about it, check out lilydaleassembly.org, and you can find out more about it. It's a wonderful, very peaceful place. I'm also a certified spiritual life coach. And as a life coach, what I really help people do is solve their life problems. That's what it all comes down to, solving their problems so they feel the best they can possibly feel, and also feel as though they might be a little bit more in control of their lives and how they're experiencing it. Now, today's coaching tip is all about what are your priorities. We're going to clarify a couple of ideas that might help you figure out what your priorities are. I know it sounds like it might be really simple. You probably have some goals and some dreams, but are you making your daily decisions based on your priorities? Sometimes we get so busy with life, with our activities, with our problems, that we forget to make conscious choices. We go along reacting to life, just living it, experiencing whatever gets thrown our way. And before we know it, days, months, years have gone by, and we don't have the life we thought we were going to have. Have you ever experienced that? It's crazy when you realize, I thought I was going to be someplace else, someplace different than where you are right now. Maybe we thought we'd have this most awesome, happy life, and life would be just so wonderful, and it didn't really work out that way. Maybe you thought you'd be the boss of the company, or you'd own your own company, and you're still in the job that you had 15 years ago, and it doesn't seem to be changing for you. Maybe you thought you'd be in this most amazing, wonderful, supportive relationship, and that doesn't work out so well either. My theory here is that sometimes I think our priorities get lost in daily life. Maybe we've forgotten about them, or maybe we've never really consciously thought about them. And if we were to know what our priorities were, what they really are, that would help us make conscious choices towards living the life we want to have, rather than just stumbling along, experiencing whatever, and waiting for something else to happen. There are a couple ways you can figure out what your priorities are, and one of them has to do with values. The other day, I was teaching a workshop, and I gave them an exercise to help them discover their life values, the values that are important to them. And these are things, lots of times, we just don't think about our values. We don't say to ourselves, oh, I really value a peaceful life. I really value love. I really value this. We just don't really do that. What I gave them this 3-page document, basically, and they would mark off whichever values spoke to them, which called to them, that just caught their attention. You don't think about it too much. You just kind of go through and mark off all the ones that you like, basically. But then you have to narrow it down to 10, then 5, and then I ended up with 3. And you can do this too by finding values online. I know there's many lists online. And just if you decide to try this out, which I recommend because it's actually kind of enlightening, just get a list that's very long so you have lots of options, because we all have different values. So the more that are listed, the better it'll be for you. So you can try that. But bringing in those values, becoming more aware of them, can help you see if you're living your life with those values. And those values will help you figure out your priorities. For example, if your top 3 values might be love, joy, and I would pick spirituality because that is for me, but love, joy, and spirituality, you should be able to look at your life and say, yes, I am living my life with love, joy, and spirituality. If love is important to you, you would ask yourself, are you living your life with love? Do you show love to not only your family and friends, but also to the person who was mean to you and called you names, or the person who criticized you? Can you show love to that person as well? If joy is a value for you, do you live your life with as much joy as possible, looking for joy and creating joy? Your values, whether they're known to you or not, are going to affect every area of your life, including your choices. Being consciously aware of them will help you sort out your priorities. If you value love, we're going to use love because that's a great value, of course. When you're deciding what you want to do, say you have some decisions to make, and if whatever you're going to do is not going to bring you more love or give you an opportunity to practice more love, then don't do it. I'm obviously, maybe not so obviously for some people, but I'm obviously not talking about things that we have to do in order to live, like pay our bills. We all have to pay bills. I'm talking about choosing not to do those things that are not going to reflect your values, not going to reflect your priorities. If these things don't reflect your priorities and values, then we should just kind of avoid them instead of doing all this busy work that we have so much of in our life sometimes. This will help you sort out what kind of life you want to have and whether or not you're moving in that direction. Now, over this past weekend, my brothers and my sister and my mother were actually visiting my area because my niece, who lives out this way, was having her high school graduation party. Now, before this party was scheduled, I was already booked to teach 2 full-day workshops and already had readings booked. Very heavy weekend for me. But even with all of that, I made a point of seeing my family as much as I could, including the last day they were here before they were getting ready to leave. I drove up towards the Buffalo area, about 40 minutes in the car, so I could spend another hour and a half with them before they left and before I had to go back home so I could do some more readings. Because for me, seeing the time with them, experiencing it, connecting with them, with family is very important to me. So that was a priority. So the value there was family for me, and I made it a priority to see them. I did what I had to do so it would work. Knowing what you value can help you sort out the more important things from the less important things. Now, here's another simple way that you can start to figure out your priorities. What's really important to you is to think about the things you wouldn't want to live without. And this isn't as deep as learning about your values and analyzing it and that kind of thing, but it will help you see what's important. And I got this idea because last week I was having a Skype interview with a TV production company. And I was thinking if it was going to be sunny outside, I would rather be outside sitting in the sun and just relaxing, which is actually kind of interesting because if I'm doing an interview with a TV production company and they're thinking about doing a TV show, that should be my priority because it would be very important for me and it could be a great opportunity. But I really just wanted to relax in the sun. As it turned out, it was cloudy that day, so I didn't miss anything. But it showed me that my priority was I just wanted to be relaxing in the sun. So I didn't miss anything, so that was all good. But the things I wouldn't want to live without, and they include sunshine, of course, because I just love the sun. Reading. I love reading. I have thousands of books. And creating. I love to create things, not necessarily artistic. I'm a little bit of a painter, but I wouldn't call myself an artist in that way. But I love to write things. I love to create articles or write my book, all of those things. I love that. And I would not want to live without being able to create. So when I was asking some people what they wouldn't want to live without, my daughter said she wouldn't want to live without cats. And cats are very important in our house, so that made sense. A friend of mine said he wouldn't want to live without bourbon. And I thought, that's interesting. And another friend said he didn't want to live without technology or the internet. So we all have different things we wouldn't want to live without. We all have different values. What's important to you? What are some of the things you wouldn't want to live without? This doesn't include those things you need to survive, okay? But the things that you would want in your life that really make you, your interests, the things you like to do, that kind of thing. We're all unique. We all have different things we think are important. And if you can be consciously aware of what is important, what your values are, you'll be able to prioritize your choices heading into the direction of your priorities, what's really important to you. Instead of wasting your time on things that aren't as important, you'll be more aware of the life, and those daily conscious choices will lead you down that path where you'll be living the life you want to live instead of just reacting mindlessly to whatever gets thrown at you. This way, you'll actually be creating your life, the life that reflects the priorities of the life you want to have. And that is my coaching tip of the day. It's kind of a fun one because if you think about it, you can start to see how you might have gotten off track with your life or how you've missed some things. And maybe you can use these techniques to just redirect. So think about your values and think about what you wouldn't want to live without. Now, you can connect with me at psychicmediumcolleen.com as well as on Facebook. And you can follow me there, Colleen Vanderzyden, medium and self-empowerment coach. And I would love to hear from you if you feel so moved to do so. Let me know what your values are. It's kind of fun to watch because we have so many different ones. So we are going to move on to our first caller, who is Jamia from Florida. Jamia, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. How can I help you?
I lost my dad last year. It was expected, but I didn't make it in enough time to see him. And he's just like really been on my mind lately, of course, because that's my dad. And then I'm also having a lot of family issues with one of my children. So I just really needed some type of guidance to see if anything is going to change for me, and also see if my father is around me, or, just kind of figure out what's going on in my life, and am I going to be going down a good road eventually, because I've been catching a lot of issues and problems for like 3 years. Financially, family, everything.
Isn't it amazing how that happens in life? You'll be going along and it seems like everything should be fine, and then all these life challenges come in, and it can be very disconcerting and disorienting, and sometimes we think they're never going to end, but I can tell you they always do. Right. They always shift, thank God, right? Now, I do have a man who is coming in, so let's see if this sounds like your dad, because I'm getting the impression I'm getting a lot of weird sensations in my back, down into my hip area, a lot of stuff in the chest area as well. Was he sick for quite some time?
Yes, he was.
Okay. And would you happen to know if he was experiencing pain in his back down into the hip area as well? Because I do feel some breathing stuff too, but was he also experiencing pain back there?
Yes, he was.
Okay. And tell me also, okay, because the way he's coming in, the energy that's coming in right now is actually, I want to be taking care of you. I want to be connecting with you. I also want to tell you, and I'm speaking as him right now, I want to tell you that it's okay you didn't make it there before he passes, because he says he wouldn't have wanted you to have that memory of his passing. He says he wouldn't have wanted that, because he knows for you, because he's telling me you're a sensitive person, you would have held on to that and you would have kept replaying it in your mind, and it would have been harder for you to handle that. So in a way, he's coming through as it's like a gift to you of wanting to reassure you. He tells me that you guys are pretty close, okay? He gives me the impression you connected quite a bit, and I don't feel like you're there all the time, okay? So you must live a little bit away. But he tells me you connected. He's also, and I don't want to offend any of your siblings or anything like that, but he's also telling me you're his little girl. Did he ever call you this? His little girl?
Yes, he did.
Yes, okay. And I don't know if that would offend someone else, because it kind of sounds like a little favoritism here, but that's okay, because that's the way it is. Okay, you understand. You understand where I'm going with this, because he gives me the impression you guys have such a connection, and you've always had this connection. He gives me the impression he very much enjoyed spending time with you, particularly when you were younger, because you had such a sense of wonder, he tells me, a wonder about what's going on, how life is, what about the moon? What about the stars? All of these things. And it was so much fun talking to you, because you were so curious and just filled with so much joy and wonder when you were younger. And he says, as you got older, he says the overwhelming thing he wants to talk about now is your compassion. You have a great deal of compassion for people. You understand when they're going through issues and things like this. And because of your sensitivity, sometimes you'll take on other people's worries and concerns as though they are yours when they're really not. But he's telling me that Yeah, isn't it amazing? And part of it is because of your heart. You know, you're a very caring person. You want to be there for people. You want to help them and all of that. And, you know, even with some of these family issues here, as he's talking about that, he's giving me the impression that, how can I put this? Whoever you're having the problem with one of your children, it's a little out of control. Would you call this a little out of control, what's happening?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it almost seems as though, and tell me if this is correct, because it seems to me as though you're trying to control something that is uncontrollable. And also there's some resistance here because they don't want to hear anything. Is that true?
That is very true.
Yeah, and it's like you can't do anything about it. And I feel a bit of, how can I put this too? Reckless, out of control behavior on that person's part. Is that accurate?
That is very accurate.
Okay. And so this is what he's telling me about that. So I want to make sure I was truly connected before I continued on. Because as he's talking about this, he says that, he says sometimes there are things that you have no control over, and you have to just let people make their own choices, no matter how difficult it is. I do get the impression that, he says you're doing a really good job trying to keep everything under control. Now, is this person in the teen area and later teen area, or even older?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yes, they are.
And would we quantify them as an adult legally?
Yes, we will.
Yes. Okay, so we definitely are there. Because that's part of the message of you have to let them make their own choices. Now, that being said, if this person is still living in your house, then you have some...
Yes, they are.
So you have a little bit more... how can I put this? Pressure. Let's say pressure. You have a little more pressure. And that if they're not going to follow these rules, guidelines, if you want to be more gentle, then they need to find their own place to live and support themselves. So along with that comes some tough love here, apparently. So I don't know how you would be doing something like that. I probably would fail myself. And actually, I did go through some situations where I should have done something like that. But he tells me, he's telling me, it's even though it appears that this person is not listening to you, they are hearing you. It is in their head. Okay. They happen to be very stubborn, number one, and they just happen to be a little bit out of control. So he's given me a little push towards the tough love method. He's also telling me that will stir things up a little bit more even. I mean, it might get a little bit rougher for a bit of time, but the end result may be better from this because you're showing how much you love them, that you're willing to stand up and say, no, this isn't acceptable anymore, and you've got to make changes. And so you do what you want with that. You do what you want there.
I will.
But he's got your back here. Okay. He understands what you're going through, so it's going to be a little tough for you because you are sensitive. You are empathetic. You do feel other people's things, and you don't want somebody you love going through stuff that's horrible and dragging everybody down. Okay. So as he talks about that, he's moving you into the trusting the life process, trusting that no matter what's going on, it's going to come out the best way possible. And it may not be the way you want exactly, but it's going to be the way it's going to be. So he's talking about kind of surrendering control and just moving out of it and just going, okay, it's all good. I'm going to do the best I can. If you're a praying person, this is a good time to pray and just throw it up there to God and say, you got to help me because I can't do it all myself. And he gives a lot of support in that area for you and is just telling you to move into the trusting. And because the more you think about things, the worse they get, So you just kind of detach from that and then just keep going. So, oh my goodness. Okay, so Jamia, I'm just going to leave you that with his love. There is so much love coming to you, his little girl, he just said again, and he wants to make sure I acknowledge that. And he says, let go of the guilt that you weren't there on time. Let go of it because he chose for you and took care of it for you. Okay, so I will leave that with you. Thank you so much. It was so nice talking to you. Good luck with everything.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are welcome. And that was Jamia from Florida. And I tell you, sometimes our life problems can be a little bit overwhelming at times. Now we're going to go to Janice from Pennsylvania in the United States. How are you today, Janice?
Really good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How can I help you today?
When my brother, I lost a lot of loved ones in my life. My brother, my nephew, both my parents, and my husband.
Oh my goodness.
Wonder if I had any messages from him.
Okay, let's see who wants to come in here. Was your nephew on the younger side when he passes? You're like 20s or something, or even a little older? Or even a little younger?
My nephew.
But yeah. Because I'm feeling a young man coming in. So let's see if this sounds like him, because as he's coming in, I'm getting all sorts of weird sensations in my body right now. Lots of, I don't even know what they mean. I just feel like my body's shutting down. It feels like something has happened and my body is shutting down. Would he happen to have passed of an overdose or suicide?
Yes. Well, my brother did too. So
and your brother did too?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let's see what happens here, because this one, as he's coming in, I actually say I feel a younger energy, and I feel the energy of, boy, there's a lot of things going on in my head right now. I feel like I don't know where I fit. I don't know how I belong. I don't feel like I'm telling people how I'm feeling. I don't feel like I have control over my life. I don't feel like people understand me. Does that sound like one of them?
That would be my nephew, yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's the feeling of I don't know how I fit. I don't know how it all goes together. There's a feeling too of a bit of, I want to call it self-medicating. Do you happen to know if he was taking a lot of different things, alcohol, drugs, that kind of stuff too?
He was on all but different heroin, Xanax, and cocaine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because it's really interesting, because when I go back with him to when he's younger, and I mean, 9, 10 years old, he's a sweetie pie. He's a cute little kid. He's a wonderful person, and he's so special. And I mean that in the best way possible. He's just a special kid. There's so much potential here and creativity inside him as well. And I feel like once he moves into the teen years and everything, it's kind of like he loses his way and doesn't really know what's going on anymore. And I feel, and I don't know if you know this or not, so if you do, let me know if it's accurate, because I feel he goes along and all of a sudden there's like an abrupt shift. Did he happen to have an abrupt shift in how he was handling life in high school?
He played baseball. I mean, he was he's really good at baseball. I mean, good-looking kid. But I know when he was in grade school, I think he got picked on a little bit.
Yeah, well, he's a sensitive one, and he feels a lot too, just like the previous caller I was talking to. He feels a lot too. He's got a lot of sensitivities, and that's probably a lot of the reason why he doesn't feel like he fits really. But it seems like there's a behavioral change once he gets up into high school, and it feels abrupt to me. And it might be shortly after that, but it's around that time. And there's this, it's almost like something just comes about and just totally triggers this for him. And would your brother be his father?
No, that would be my sister's son. That was her only son. He had my nephew. He has a daughter, too. She's 13 now.
Okay. So the impressions I'm getting, and the reason I'm talking to him, because I do feel like he wants to come in. I get such an impression of wanting to apologize for his actions, for his behaviors. He tells me that, well, he's basically telling me it was like he was possessed, okay? That he had no control over what was happening. He's telling me that sometimes he would say things to people he loved, and this, I think, is his mom, and maybe his sister too, because I feel like he says things that are just not nice at all, are really mean. And there's a feeling of acknowledging on his part that this was not really him, but he still wants to apologize for that because he feels that people are remembering some of those things and it's kind of, really affecting them. He's also talking about people feeling guilty that they couldn't help him. No matter what we said, no matter what we did, we couldn't really get through to him. So there are some people who are still feeling guilty that they should have been able to help him and save him. And he's saying no, that he took total.
That's me, because he called me the night that he passed away. And he wanted me to give him a ride, but I just got out of the hospital and I couldn't go pick him up.
Yeah, and that's okay. Okay, and that's okay because there's no sense of anger or anything like that coming through towards you for not picking him up. He just wants to alleviate people's guilt. He wants to tell them it's okay. He's an adult. He makes these choices. And actually, even if you had picked him up, I'm not sure the ending would have been different, okay, as the way he's showing it to me. And he's telling me he wants to make sure that people understand that he takes full responsibility for this. He also wants to make sure that people understand how much he loves everybody and how he is still present. He's telling me that people are starting to see some signs of him around. And sometimes spirits will come in, in different things. Okay. And sometimes things will come in and you'll see these things and you think of him. And he wants to make sure you share the message to people, his direct family too, to let them know how much he loves them and everything and how important it is to acknowledge that. Okay. He tells me that you were very special to him and he wants to acknowledge that as well. He says you're somebody that was very important in his life and he wants to make sure you understand that is so important for him to say. He's getting really emphatic now. So make sure you take that and that love that is there for you. And to just remember the good stuff and forget about the other stuff because he couldn't control it. It's just the way it is. So to remember the good stuff, remember that sensitive, loving kid that's inside there that we just loved so much because he's so much fun and he's so sensitive and so wonderful. So remember that part, okay? And try to avoid the other part. Now, I'm so sorry, but I have to let you go. I only have 30 seconds left. So, Janice, it was so nice talking to you. You have a great day. And I'll talk to you again, maybe.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I want to thank everybody who's watching and listening today. I'm Colleen Vanderzyden. This is Creating an Inspired Life. You can connect with me at psychicmediumcolleen.com. And I hope you guys have a great week. Remember your priorities, and I will talk to you next week. Goodbye.